Hello and welcome to the Firewall Analyzer Training Season 3, Part 1. In this season, we will have two trainings. One will be today and the other one will be on 17th of July. On this part of the training, we will understand and identify security threats, monitor user internet activity specifically in real time. So before we actually proceed further, let me introduce myself. My name is Ashwim, and I work in Firewall Analyzer since 9 years now. I'm the product specialist, and I conduct the training. So before I go ahead and explain about this training, let me confirm if I'm audible, and if you are able to see my screen, just confirm that in the chat box. Thank you for your response. I got the response that I'm audible and the screen is visible to all of us. So in this part of training, the agenda will be based on why user activity monitoring is required for an organization, how to monitor the user activity in real time and non-intrusive, quick access from dashboard of Firewall Analyzer with multi-level drill down analysis, and also will understand the forensic analysis using search report to narrow down any particular activity that happened in the past. Also will find out some customization in Firewall Analyzer that is available to generate various type of reports for targeted search. Then also will understand the internal threats that happen in organization, what it causes, how effectively we can defend the internal threats. So first of all, why user activity monitoring is required for an organization? Uncontrolled internet access to the users leads to two type of things. One, it increases security risk, and also the choke or the clogging of internet bandwidth happen due to uncontrolled internet access that is given to the users. The users, when I say, they are the employees of the organization itself. Now, increase in security risk is based on, for example, the attacks or the virus that we get into the network by the human error by the employees can happen often. 60% of all attacks were carried out by insiders. That was the research done by IBM X-Force Cybersecurity Intelligence. Usually, the attacks are caused by employees, business partners, or contractors who misuse their access to business critical data. So when I say misuse their access to business critical data, they may not know that they are actually hampering the business critical bandwidth that is required for the organization. They don't know that they are actually causing some security risk for the organization, but that happens. So how to prevent that? We'll understand that part as well going forward. Ponemon Institute's cost of cybercrime study found that malicious insider attacks cost organization more than 167,000 per attack. That's huge. So that's all about just a gist about the increased security risk due to uncontrolled bandwidth usage by the internal users. The second part of uncontrolled bandwidth utilization can clog or choke the internet bandwidth, which actually causes problem for your business critical activities. So when the personal internet usage of any employee starts choking the bandwidth that is meant for the business purpose, internet monitoring functionality will help you to find out which user or users are responsible for that, what are the websites they visited, which website consumed maximum bandwidth. These kind of information the network admin can gather to go ahead and prevent these by creating such rules in the firewalls, which can prohibit these kind of activities in the business hour of the day. So the benefits by monitoring the user activity, what kind of benefits we can get? There can be various type of benefits, but focused benefits will be you can prevent security loopholes. You can also get better performance for your bandwidth that you consume from your ISP. You can utilize that for business critical activities with better performance. You can also reduce the operational cost by reducing number of attacks. So when there is some attack happens, then a lot of investment goes to prevent those attacks. Also, you can automate few activities to be done automatically if you're aware about what kind of attacks are happening, what kind of viruses are coming in, what are the loopholes with respect to the security audit of your firewall configuration. So you can automate some activities using some tools. For example, Firewall Analyzer. We're talking about the Firewall Analyzer now. So these kind of tools will let the network admin know what kind of activities are happening, whether they are authenticated, unauthenticated, how good those activities are, how bad those activities are. That can be identified and also alerted time to time whenever there is some malicious activities happening. So you can prevent these things. Now, how to monitor these activities, how the user activities that are happening, how to monitor these things in real time and non-intrusive. So Firewall Analyzer is a product of Manage Engine that offers a variety of reports to monitor user activity. One of the reports, which is an user report from the dashboard that lets us know the variety of users that can access different type of traffic activity, and we can drill down those activities to the raw log level to find out whether those are appropriate or inappropriate. So when we talk about users, there can be various type of users. One, the employees who has an username in your Active Directory. These are our internal employees. They have username. Then if you have VPN, you have VPN users as well. Then again, you have users who can log in to your network device. For example, your firewall. There will be admin users who can log into the firewall and do some kind of activity or change some configuration. That is again another type of user. So there are different type of users who has different type of access level and they do different type of activities. In Firewall Analyzer, we monitor all these type of users and their activities. We can also do advanced search with respect to forensic analysis to get usage data for a specific user. So when it is actually required, when you are trying to pinpoint an activity that was done by one particular user in the past. For example, if one of the user went to a malicious website that caused a bigger attack in the environment and you are trying to find out when that activity was happened by this particular user, you can do that level of raw log analysis in Firewall Analyzer and pinpoint that activity, when that happened, who did that, how that happened, what was the impact. All these information you can get that from Firewall Analyzer. The search that you do, when you do the search in the raw log, you can also save that result as a report profile so that next time onwards, when you try to do analysis on that kind of activity, you need not to search that again. So repetitive tasks will reduce by saving these search results as report profiles. These report profiles also can be exported as PDF or CSV or can be scheduled time to time. You can also customize some reports based on your requirement to monitor specific user or a group of user or group of IP address or group of protocols. We can customize that. So we will talk about this customizing report, search result report in detail going forward in this presentation. So quick user report from the dashboard. How we can identify what kind of activities are happening from the dashboard of a product, so that normally we keep a dashboard on a knock screen or a big plasma screen to keep eye on each and every activity or any malicious activity that is happening on. So that knock screen will mostly be a dashboard of a product. So from the dashboard level, if I'm able to get a view of all the activities that are happening, then it will be easy for me to identify if there is any kind of malicious things happening. And also this dashboard level information is available in drill down analysis. Let's see this information in the product UI in a real-time environment, how it looks like. So this is the Firewall Analyzer user interface. where I have a column called users. When I get into the users, I have variety of users information. Users that do the normal traffic activity that comes as a top end users by traffic. Users who has an access to the firewall to do some configuration changes. So those are, so whenever they are trying to log into the firewall and that's getting avoided due to any reason, wrong password or wrong username or both of them, due to any reason, if it's a failed login, then I can also show that. Why do I need this information? We got this situation in a real-time scenario in a couple of weeks before, that an unsatisfied employee quit the company and he had an access to the firewall. After quitting, he tried to communicate to this firewall and he was getting denied because the password was changed. So these kind of activities, denied logon or denied activities, are always considered as security activities, security events. So we capture those things and let you know what are the denied activities happening and who is doing that. Also, we get to know the top end usage, top end users by VPN usage. If you have VPN users, which VPN user is consuming maximum traffic and going to what source or what destination, what kind of traffic he is doing, how long he is spending on the VPN session, all those information we can get in top end users by VPN usage. Also, if the organization has an open network where people can access to cloud application, cloud services, for example, Office 365 or Dropbox or photo sharing applications. So these are some cloud-based services. If employees do cloud-based activities, then which service or which user is consuming maximum cloud-based traffic? And we can get to know which service he accessed, when he accessed, how much volume of traffic he accessed. We can get to know in detail from the dashboard itself. Now in the dashboard, you can see that these are some high-level information I see. For example, I find Shyamala has consumed maximum traffic for today. So when I drill down to Shyamala, I can find out what all the protocols she has accessed, what destinations she has gone, and what is the source IP, as well as what rules of the firewall she triggered to access those destinations. So these kind of distribution of working hour, whether that activity happened in working hour or non-working hour, those kind of information also we can get. We can also do the same type of drill down analysis for other dashboard related widgets. For example, top end VPN, top end denied activities, those things also we can do multi-level drill down to find out more about them. Now, this user-based activities that we drill down and find out more in-depth analysis that helps to have a snapshot of each user's internet activity, and that lets us know if those activities are business-centric or non-business-centric. And based on identifying whether they are business-centric or non-business-centric, the firewall admin can always go ahead and write some rules to prevent if they are non-business centric. So the next thing that firewall analyzer gives you is a forensic analysis. When I say forensic analysis, the first criteria of forensic analysis is to find out any particular activity that happened in the past. So in firewall analyzer, we have two types of data stored. By default, firewall analyzer comes with a database, that is PostgreSQL database. And using this database, we store the aggregated data that we receive from the firewall. So to know more about how we receive syslogs from the firewall and what's the mechanism, we discussed about this initial part, like configuration of the firewall, system requirement of firewall analyzer, these things in our previous season training, and that was nuts and bolts of firewall analyzer that describes how to configure and how to do the basic configuration for firewalls and firewall analyzer to get the syslogs ready and get the reports ready. On this season, we are focusing on how to do in-depth analysis and how to make use of the reports that we have in the firewall analyzer to find out more in-depth information. So aggregated data is the one which accumulates the information for a particular source or a particular destination or a particular user and shows in a total value. I'll give you an example. let's say one of the user goes to facebook.com 5 times a day. So every time he goes to facebook.com, there will be 2 transactions or 2 logs written in the firewall. Whenever he goes to facebook.com, there will be an open log created, and once he closes the session, there will be a closed session log written. So there will be 10 logs written for 5 transactions or 5 access to facebook.com. The search report will give you aggregated search as well as raw search. In aggregated search, let's see how we find out the information. In aggregated search, we will see one source went to Facebook and the total volume of traffic he has consumed is X amount. That is something accumulating all 5 transactions together and showing you the complete value. And raw search will give you all 5 different transactions with all 10 logs created in distinct information. So each log, when that log was created, what time that activity happened, those kind of information we can find in the raw log level. So in aggregated search, how do we search? How do we effectively search? Let's see that in the product UI. So in the Firewall Analyzer UI, we have something called as reports. When we go to reports, we will have variety of reports here. So the first one is custom report. We'll talk about that next. And there will be firewall reports, which is a list of predefined reports that is covering almost all the needs that a network admin can come up. And these are all predefined reports, and there are 20 plus predefined reports that are given by Firewall Analyzer. Then there are proxy reports. Firewall Analyzer does support network security device like firewalls, IDS, IPS, squid proxies, as well as VPNs. So if the user or the organization has squid proxies, we can monitor that as well. And also standard report, change management, rule management, security audit. These are some reports that we generate based on the configuration. Now the search, we are talking about the search report right here. When we go to search report, we have both these options, aggregated search and raw search. In aggregated search, if I go ahead and put up a criteria, for example, source is not null. That means any source. And I go ahead and click on generate. That means I'm trying to find out any source went to any destination. I want the complete visibility for that. I can just click on generate to view all the activities that have been done by any source. However, if I do the same information in raw, I'll show you how different it will look like. So when I generate the aggregated report, it will give me variety of information, conversation detail, admin report detail, rules that have been triggered by all the source, spam detail if there is any spam, host traffic detail, and URL detail, virus attack, all these information. So I want to see the conversation detail, what all the conversation has happened. So I can find out on which firewall the transaction has happened, that is the device. I can find out from which source the transaction was initiated, which user did that activity, what protocol was been used for that particular transaction, what destination or the URL the user went on, and how many times he has consumed. So if you correlate my example, one user goes to facebook.com 5 times a day, you can correlate that same. Here the hit count will be 5, destination will be facebook.com, and the source will be that source, user, and total volume of traffic, how much he consumed, I can find it here, right here. So for the period of time, let's say for today, I find the total volume of traffic with respect to that particular destination, how many times he went. The same information when we go ahead and search in the raw search, it will give us each and every transaction that was been done. Now in the raw search, you have little more filterization available. In raw search, you can filter the logs based on VPN or virus attack or traffic or device management or denied logs. So if you are trying to search any particular activity that was a VPN traffic, then you can just select the VPN and proceed further, VPN logs and proceed further. If your requirement is based on any attack logs that you are trying to pinpoint, when if there was any attack happened in the past and you are trying to search that, then you need not to select traffic, denied, device management, VPN, anything. You just need to select the attack logs. Similarly, If I'm looking for all the conversation, successful traffic that was happening, I can go with the traffic logs and then provide my criteria. So my criteria remains the same. Source is not null. So in this criteria selection in aggregated or raw, we can provide multiple criteria together. If you want to make the filterization more detailed or more specific, you can provide this criteria, multiple criteria as well. For example, any source went to facebook.com, so I can add URL contains facebook.com. So that means URL contains facebook.com. So if I do this way, then I can find out who all the employees went to facebook.com. So like that, you can add multiple criteria and then perform a generate. Once you click on generate, it will give you each and every activity that was been done with its raw log. So you can see here that it gives you the raw log. Where exactly it helps you? When you are facing any audit, any regulatory mandate, if the organization is facing any regulatory mandate, there will be a requirement to perform forensic analysis on raw logs of the firewall, of the network security device. So this application helps you to perform the search with its raw log without any modification. So I can see this raw log without any modification right here, but I cannot understand what is this raw log all about. So that is the reason I have something called as formatted log, which will categorize the device, the host, the user, protocol, destination, date and time, what time the activity happened, whether that's a virus attack. All these information will be categorized for our understanding. So how do we do this? When we receive the syslog from the firewall, we keep a copy of this log as a raw format in the installation location, and also we normalize that log, or we index that log to generate this formatted log. So this formatted log is easy to understand. A raw log is just the raw format. That's the difference. Now, this is how we can perform an effective search. If I like this search result and I don't want to perform this kind of search again and again, then I can save this search result as a report profile. I can provide a report profile name, and what are the columns I want to keep it, I can just select those columns, and then I can, if I want to schedule this report, I can enable schedule and I can save it. After saving, this search result will be saved as a custom report under custom report section. That's how we can perform effective search or effective forensic analysis. Now, apart from search result or search report generation, we also provide you customization on the reports. So customization of the report will be helpful when the predefined report is too much for you. In predefined reports, you get a lot of information. For example, in a predefined traffic report, we will provide you the information top sending host. That means top hosts that are doing outbound traffic, top hosts that are doing inbound traffic, then top users doing outbound traffic. So like that, there will be multiple information, multiple tables, so many information in that predefined report with both graph and table view. But in case we want to present a report to our management who just want a simple table where we can present the traffic usage, who all are the top users, accessed the organization network, and we want a traffic report with respect to source, destination, inbound byte, outbound byte, total byte, and the protocol usage. We just need a table. We do not need a graph, and that is the only information we need. In that kind of situation, we can always customize our own report. There can be other situations. For example, you want to generate a trend report where you want a graph, a trend report of the VPN or trend report of the traffic, which hour of the day is busiest hour of the day. You want to have a trend graph. Then you can customize the report and create a trend or a timeline graph to show which hour of the day is the peak hour of the day. That kind of customization we can do. So let's see how we do it in the product UI. So we go to the same report section, In the report section, we have custom report. We click on this green button and click on add. Once we click on add, then we can provide a profile name. Let's do it in this tab here. So we go to reports, and then under custom report, we have the add option. And this customization of report is just 4-step customization. First, we have to select the device. What all the device on which all the devices we want this report to be generated. We have to select those devices, provide a name of that report, and then go for next to provide a filter. If you want this report to be specific to some users, or you do not want some users or do not want some destinations to be shown, or you do not want some particular protocols activities not to be shown in your report, include or exclude criteria, you can create a filter for that. How to create a filter? You click on this add, provide a name of the filter, and then you can select include or exclude filter. And the filter can be based on protocols or source IP address or the destination or any event. When I say event will be based on severity and also based on users. I can select the users. If I want this report to be just for 5 users, I can provide all 5 users' name and add them like this. I can add multiple users here and then save this filter. After saving this filter, it will be listed in the filters list that can be used again and again when you customize more reports. You can use the existing filters. Then all the predefined reports Firewall Analyzer provides, they are all listed right here. So these are all the predefined reports. But my requirement is something else. My requirement is to go ahead and customize more. So I can click on this add, and this will help me to customize the report as per my requirement. So my requirement is a traffic report with respect to protocol. You can do it based on URL, VPN, protocol, event, rule, attack, virus. You can generate this report based on multiple, any criteria. Then you can select whether you want to generate this report with graph and table both, or just a graph or just a table. So in case it's a timeline or a trend report that you want to generate, you can select the appropriate time series graph. This will be suitable for a trend report, and you can provide the x-axis, y-axis. But my focus is on just a table view to present it to higher level management. So I can select what all the columns I want. I want source, I want destination, I want protocol, I want byte in, byte out, and total byte. So I select my columns that I want to show in my report and click on OK. After clicking on OK, it will give you an option to schedule this. After clicking on OK, this will list in this particular list of report, like the one that traffic we created a repeated one. So after selecting that report, you can go for next to schedule your report, and this schedule can happen daily, weekly, monthly, or you can generate it just once, and it can be sent as a PDF or CSV, and you can provide your email address if you want to schedule this. You can enable the email option or disable the email option and save it. After saving, this report will be saved under custom report. In the custom report, all those customized reports will be listed. Next time onwards, whenever you want to see that report, all you have to do is click on that report. That will be ready for you. Source, user, destination, protocol, byte in, byte out, total byte. And this information can be exported as a PDF or CSV. And by default, this report will show you the top 5 users. They did the maximum traffic activity. If you want to see all the transactions that were done and you want to export that, while exporting, you can select the row count as all and you can export it. So you can see all the conversation that were happened. That's how you can customize a report profile in Firewall Analyzer. This customization helps the network admin to customize any type of report based on their own requirements. They don't depend on the predefined reports. So this helps you to perform the targeted watch for a particular user or particular source, particular URL like that. So let's now talk about insider threat. When it comes to insider threat, first let's understand what is insider threat. Insider threat is not actually an attack or a virus. This insider threat is actually the activities that the insider, the employees who has an access to the organization network, they do some kind of activity which causes some threat to organization. For example, it's a real-time example. Let's say there are 1,000 employees in one of the organization, and any given employee, any employee can go to Facebook or do some photo sharing with their friends, or they can do some kind of email activities using their smartphone. They can connect to the company, the organization's Wi-Fi, and they can do their activities in the regular daily activities using their smartphone or their laptop. So these activities, let's say one user is consuming 100 MB per day for these non-business centric activities. So there are 1,000 employees, one employee is doing 100 MB unnecessary activities, and per day we can calculate 100 into 1,000 like that for a month, and for a year, if we calculate, there will be a huge amount of bandwidth consumed for unnecessary activity. That can lead to clogging of bandwidth, or choking in the bandwidth when there is some business activities happening, business-centric activities. And also, unknowingly, there may be some attacks or some malicious things can come into the network itself without the knowledge of the employee. So these are the threats that can happen due to these open network or these cloud-based activities. So the cloud-based activities that have been done that can be business-centric and may not be business-centric. So Firewall Analyzer finds out which cloud-based service is consuming maximum traffic and which user is doing that in cloud services. So let's see that in the product UI. So in Firewall Analyzer dashboard, we have something called as cloud control. In the cloud control, it will let you know top and file sharing services. So file sharing cloud application, what are the top file sharing cloud services have been used by users? What are the top end social media services, top end business services, top end cloud application? All these information will be shown that have been used in that network. You can drill down to these applications to find, or these services to find which user has done that. So if you find one of the user who is consuming a lot of traffic in top end social media services, you drill down to it, find out what all the activities he has done, which destination he has gone, what time he is doing it. Then you can go, the network admin can go ahead and write a rule. He may not go ahead and fire the employee, but the organization may create some rule that in the business hour we will not allow social media. Maybe after the business hour, morning 8 to evening 8 is the business hour. We will not allow any social media at that time. After 8 p.m. we may allow it, or maybe in the weekends we can allow it. That kind of rules can be implemented to avoid unnecessary activities in the business hour. So these cloud service utilization with respect to users can help us to find out the insider threat, which doesn't look like a threat, but it costs the organization a lot with respect to operational cost. And by controlling this, we can prevent a lot of unnecessary operational cost. Now, these users that we are talking about, all these users that we are talking about, how do we get these users actually? By default, the firewall log will not contain any user name. It will contain the source IP address, destination IP address, and only if the network admin has configured the username in the firewall, then it might get the usernames in the syslog. Most of the cases, it will not contain the username in the syslog. So in Firewall Analyzer, we have some mechanism to map the usernames with firewall syslogs. We have an option called username to IP mapping. So if you have an active directory in the network, then you can configure the active directory with Firewall Analyzer. and Firewall Analyzer will fetch all the Active Directory users to itself, to its database, and whenever that user, that Active Directory user is doing some traffic activity, Firewall will send a syslog for that, and it will contain the source IP address. So we will map the source IP address with the Active Directory username to show you the appropriate user who has done the activity. The same way we have option for DHCP mapping with IP address, also proxy with IP address. In proxy logs, we will have the username. We can map that as well. We do have options for manual mapping as well. So this username to IP mapping helps to find out each user's activity with respect to the source IP as well. So in the insider threat, proactively detect any insider threat so that can be mitigated. Visualize the top 10 users across various SaaS services and applications. We just saw that in the cloud control in the product UI. Analyze the end user's activity with respect to source, destination, URL that was been accessed, and offering details such as site access, application used, and bandwidth consumed. By knowing these information, we can prevent the insider threat, that is the operational cost. As a summary of this particular training part, the auditing is actually an integral part of any IT security, and Firewall Analyzer aids in flawless auditing with respect to attacks or virus or configuration of the firewall. Firewall Analyzer aids the flawless auditing. Then it also safeguards your network from security breaches by identifying the attacks, virus, and denied events that are happening. It conducts forensic analysis using the raw search, root cause analysis, and IT audits. Also stay compliant with statutory requirements by monitoring the firewall configuration and keeping an eye on each attack event that are happening. The upcoming training will be conducted on July 17th, and that part will be more focused on the real-time alerts and instant remediation. And during that training, we'll also learn about how to configure an alarm profile in Firewall Analyzer for security, anomaly, bandwidth, attack, or denied events. Also, we'll understand how to configure notification mechanisms when creating alarm profile, because notification, we have multiple options to notify the user whenever there is any alarm triggered. Also, we'll understand how to create automated remediation action by triggering an alarm so that the action, whatever the action has to be taken care, that can be taken care by Firewall Analyzer without human intervention. This part will be done on 17th of July. So if you need any help on the product on Firewall Analyzer, then you can always reach us in the website, or you can drop your post in our community in the pitstop.management.com/portal community. If you want to get in touch with our support directly through an email, you can send an email through fwanalyzer-support@manageengine.com, or you can call us on the given number. Let's now understand and discuss some questions that are frequently asked by some users with regard to user activity monitoring. The first question was how to get bandwidth usage reports for specific user-based bandwidth. So when it comes to specific user-based, we have to go ahead and create a filter while customizing the report. So let's see how to do it in the product UI. So when we customize the report, we have an option to go ahead and create a filter. So we go to add report. In the add report, we can click on this add filter, and we can include or exclude any user right here. So we can select the user's option. We can provide the username, the specific username that we want to be, we want the report to be generated, and then apply this filter or append this filter on the report. Then the second question is about the VPN user transaction detail. When it comes to VPN user transaction detail, there are two types of things. One, the user session and the traffic activities that have been done by the VPN user. So if we want the VPN user transaction in a raw format, or in aggregated format, we can perform a search with a filter of VPN logs. And when we perform the VPN log search in the raw search, that will give us all the VPN transactions that have been done. If we do the same thing in the aggregated search, we can find out the VPN conversations that have been done for a period of time. Third question, VPN user specific session start and end time can be tracked or not? Yes, absolutely, we can track it when the session has started and when the session has ended. And also we can let you know how long, what was the duration of that particular session lasted. So when we go to report section, let's see where it is actually. In Firewall Analyzer, we have 20 plus predefined reports right here. So in this, we have something called as VPN report. When we go to VPN, when you select VPN, you have three types of reports. One is VPN report, one is VPN trend report, and the other one is active VPN trend. In the active VPN trend, you can also get the live VPN. So when we go to VPN reports, you will have something as top VPN users, top failed VPN users. So in top VPN users, you will find the username of that VPN, the duration, how long the session lasted. But here you will not get the start time and end time. So to find the start time and end time, you have an option in the custom report. I go to custom report, add, provide a profile name, and then go for next. So here you have an option, VPN user session time report, and this report will give you the idea when the session has started, when the session has ended, how long the session lasted. And the fourth question is how to get user list for specific URL access. To understand this question, I'll give you an example. A specific URL, let's talk about a specific URL, facebook.com. So this question is saying how to get all the users that they have accessed facebook.com. So any user accessed facebook.com, I want a list of that. To perform that, we'll go to raw search in the report section. And then in the raw search criteria, we'll go ahead and provide the fields as traffic logs, because these are all successful or denied activities. So we'll keep traffic log and denied logs, and then provide the criteria as user is not null. That means any user, and we'll add the second criteria as URL contains facebook.com. When we search this criteria, it will give us any user went to facebook.com, and that information can be saved as a report profile, and we can use that, we can schedule that and use that repetitively. So this is all about today's training part, and the next training will be conducted on 17th of July about alerting, notification, and effective real-time remediation. And thank you so much for joining on this part of the training. After this session, we request you to add your feedback so that it will help us improve. Thank you.